Today's video begins with stairs, because that is where the day starts for him, but it is not truly about the stairs. It is about his parents, and about something he almost kept unsaid because it felt too personal to place in front of a camera. He has decided that it matters too much to remain private. So here it is.
He is 49 years old and disabled. He has a stair lift in his home. In his last video, he explained the basics, how it works, what it feels like to depend on it, and what it means to live in a house where movement can become a daily negotiation. That earlier video focused on him, on his body, his limits, and his fear of risk on the way up and down those 13 steps.
This one is different. It is about the two people who made that stair lift possible in the first place, his mother and his father, and about the quiet realization that arrived after the camera stopped rolling. The stair lift did not simply change his life. It changed how he sees time running through the entire household.
It made him understand, in a way he could no longer dismiss, that the countdown is not only for him. Before he goes further, he wants to state one truth plainly, without decoration. His parents are the reason he has a roof over his head, food on the table 4 nights a week, and a way to move through his own home at all.
His mother cooks Monday through Thursday every week, consistently and without keeping score. She does not offer it like a transaction, and she does not withdraw it when emotions are inconvenient. She simply provides it. His parents also paid for the stair lift together. In his last video, he shared the figures because they matter. A straight lift commonly costs between $2,500 and $9,000. If the staircase curves, the cost often rises to about $10,000 to $14,000, and installation that properly accounts for the specific structure may add roughly $2,000 more.
Those are not minor expenses. They are real sacrifices made by two people who were not required to do so, but chose to anyway. He does not think he has said thank you in the way it deserves to be said, at least not with enough clarity, not in front of anyone besides them.
He is saying it now, because the gratitude is genuine, and because it must be spoken aloud. Mom and Dad, if you are watching this, thank you. Not for 4 seconds of content, but for a whole life that became more livable. He still remembers the day the installers were in the house measuring for the lift. His father stood at the bottom of the stairs the entire time. He watched every measurement, as if the outcome depended on his attention. His mother, meanwhile, asked the installer question after question about whether it could get stuck, what would happen in a power outage, and how anyone could be certain it would truly hold the weight and function safely on every trip.
Her questions were not suspicion. They were responsibility. She needed to know her son would be safe on that lift before she allowed herself to relax. That level of concern is not something he has ever seen in paid care. It is something that comes from years of loving someone and worrying in ways that rarely translate into credit or recognition.
Here is what has been sitting with him since that day, and it is the part he almost did not say out loud. His parents are able-bodied. Right now, today, they can walk those 13 steps without thinking. The stairs do not demand anything from them the way they demand from him. They have the muscle strength, the balance, the reflexes, and the vision that make the steps feel routine.
But able-bodied is not the same as invincible. Able-bodied is not the same as permanent. His parents are seniors. Every day adds up. Every year changes the baseline. Even when nothing dramatic happens, probability shifts. One small slip is not always preventable. One misstep can lead to injury. That is why he cannot treat stairs as a simple feature of a home anymore. He treats them as a risk landscape. To make that point clear, he went back to data, because he needed something solid to counter the feeling he could not shake. The CDC states that falls are the leading cause of injury for adults age 65 and older. That detail stopped him, not because he did not already know that falls were common, but because it made the danger feel immediate and measurable. It is not abstract. It is the primary cause of injury in that age group. He also learned something else that he found difficult to accept. An estimated 84% of seniors say they want to stay in their current home for the rest of their lives. His parents, he thinks, would be in that majority without anyone needing to ask. Staying put feels safer emotionally and familiar on a practical level. Home is not only a building, it is routine, community, and memory. However, the problem is that staying put requires preparation. The CDC also reports that up to 80% of seniors polled have not made modifications to their homes to prepare for mobility changes. And mobility changes arrive gradually. Vision that is not what it used to be, balance that is slightly less steady, medications that can affect coordination, and the lingering effect of conditions people do not always mention until they become emergencies. On a staircase, those gradual changes can become immediate hazards.
So when he thinks about those 13 steps now, he is not only thinking about his own movement pattern, the geometry of it, the careful sequence, the repeated decisions. He thinks about his right foot leading. He thinks about his left foot navigating toward the folded lift chair. He thinks about how he must land precisely enough that he does not turn a routine motion into a crisis. He knows the risk is not hypothetical. It is present at the top and bottom of those stairs every day. And then the thought expands. He thinks about his mother carrying laundry down the same steps. He thinks about her hands full, her attention divided, her body adapting to weight and rhythm. He thinks about his father going down to the garage to retrieve something without a second thought, because for him, retrieving something from the garage used to be automatic. Now it is still automatic, but the body that performs the automatic motion is aging, and the margin for error has likely narrowed. The stairlift solved a problem for him. It did not solve anything for them. In fact, it may have done the opposite. It made them visible as part of the same system of risk in the house. It quietly underlined that the clock is running for everyone living here, not only for the person other people assume is the disabled one. He is not saying any of this to alarm his parents. He genuinely hopes they do not feel ambushed. He hopes they do not feel accused or treated as fragile. They are not fragile. They are competent, active, and capable. But capability does not negate the value of planning. He believes it is possible for gratitude and worry to exist together, even in the same breath. He is endlessly thankful for what his parents have done. The meals, the money for the lift, the years of quietly making his life more manageable without asking for recognition. At the same time, he is starting to understand what he owes them back, not necessarily financially, and not necessarily through large gestures. He owes them attention, the same kind of attention they have invested in him for years. That is another reason he decided to make this video rather than keep everything in his head. Households like his, where an adult child with disability and aging parents live together, each looking out for the other in different ways, are more common than many people realize. They may not dominate headlines, but they exist in millions of homes. Census data suggests that households with 3 or more generations under one roof make up about 3.7% of U.S. households. That is close to 5 million households and roughly 26 million people nationwide. It is a substantial number. Many of those families are quietly doing what his family is doing, adapting, compensating, and supporting one another without turning their lives into spectacle. He wants to be one of the people who points the camera at that reality. Not only at his disability, and not only at the stairlift, but at the people whose care makes the daily routine possible. So what will he do about it? This is the practical portion, the part that cannot remain only emotional. He is going to have a conversation with his parents about their own stairs. He will not frame it as fear. He will frame it as preparation, based on the same practical attention he has learned to give his own safety. He will speak plainly, not accusingly, and he will keep the tone respectful. First, he will discuss grab bars where they make sense. Second, he will encourage better lighting on the staircase so that shadows do not hide changes in height or depth. Third, he will talk about non-slip treads on the steps themselves. These are often inexpensive compared with major structural changes, yet they can reduce the chance of slipping immediately. Then he will consider whether larger modifications might be appropriate as well, such as whether a second stairlift or a different kind of stairway modification makes sense for them now, before a fall forces the decision later. That timing matters. Waiting for an emergency compresses choices, shrinks options, and increases cost, both financial and emotional. Planning earlier allows families to act with clarity rather than panic. He recognizes that no one wants to discuss age-related decline as if it were inevitable. But decline is not a prophecy. It is a risk factor that can be managed.
He does not need his parents to feel old. He needs them to feel included in a plan that protects independence. If you are watching this and you are in a household like his, an adult child with disability living with aging parents, you are not alone. In the comments, he wants you to share what your setup looks like. What worries you? What have you changed already? What did you postpone? What did you learn after you finally made adjustments? He also wants people who have parents of their own to treat this as a nudge rather than a warning. If your parents are getting older and the house remains unchanged, begin the conversation before the staircase becomes the moment that forces the issue. He anticipates a certain type of response because he has seen it before. Some viewers may say, "A thank you video is content. Gratitude does not count if there is a camera pointed at it." He would challenge that gently but firmly. He makes videos about the hard parts of his life because they need to be seen. Fear on the stairs, the reality of relying on his mother 4 nights a week, and the parts that rarely appear in brochures.
If he only shows the hard parts and never shows the people who make those hard parts survivable, then the story remains incomplete. It would be honest in one direction only. This video is his attempt to make it whole.
To his mother and father, one more time, because he knows sometimes people skip to the end, thank you. Thank you not only for the stairlift, but for everything that allowed the stairlift to be meaningful. He sees it. He does not take it for granted. And he will keep treating his parents' effort as more than background support. It is the foundation of his everyday life. If you want more honest, no-filter content on this channel, content that is not only about disability, but about the people who make daily life workable, subscribe. And in the comments, tell him what you would want to see next. The next conversation he has with his parents, the next home modification he evaluates, or the next part of this shared household reality that people often overlook. He is glad you are here, and he hopes this video helps someone speak sooner, plan earlier, and appreciate fully, while time is still cooperative enough to allow careful preparation.